Hello and welcome to EverLogic Training. My name is Jennifer Fuel. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today, where we will be speaking about vehicle inventory in EverLogic. So on our agenda, we will look into the General tab, where we will find that there are some mandatory items. Those are the bolded fields that are in EverLogic. And the mandatory items for the vehicle inventory are the stock number, the NUD, which stands for new, used, or demo, year, make, model, and we'll talk a lot about vehicle itemized charges. We'll then go into the admin tab and learn about the PO, lien, tag, and title information. We'll also talk about the floor plan. Then we'll go into the pricing tab, and we'll also talk about the pictures and layout tab, the features and options. We'll be able to put in some descriptions along with notes. We'll also be able to do quick list. I'll also show you list unposted stock, list unposted curtailment and payments, and list unposted bill and credits. All right, let's go ahead and get started in EverLogic. Today we are on the Sales and Operation tab. I am going to open a new inventory form, also a new inventory PO form. So we're going to talk about the similarities and differences between the vehicle new inventory form and also the vehicle inventory purchase order form. So if you'll notice right now in comparison, there is a line of items on the inventory side, which I'm going to refer to as my manual entry. These items will show up on the PO once I have saved it. So for now, let's go ahead and put in a stock number for the manual entry. I'm going to place MAN at the end of my stock number so that we can determine the difference between the two entries I'm working with today. Also, I noticed that my location has automatically displayed. The DOL, which stands for the days on lot, will also automatically display once I save the form. And then we do need to mention the status. So I'm ordering these vehicles today, so we can place on order as the status. So again, this row of items is not currently on the vehicle purchase order, but we will find these items more specifically after I click Save. I do want to point out the stock number on the PO is located here. So I am going to use the same stock number, but I'm going to put PO at the end of the stock number. So again, we can tell the difference when we start doing the comparison. Now let me just stop and say, if you prefer, you can give us a list of your vehicles. When you go through your implementation, you probably did this, and we uploaded your vehicles that you had currently in stock. This is when you are ordering new stock. All right. So again, we're doing some comparison, and I've placed my stock number here for the vehicle inventory PO. To the right, you'll also see that's where my location is automatically displaying for me. Right below the stock number is the NUD field. This stands for new, used, or demo. And I want to point out that information is located here on your General tab on the new inventory. The manual entry, you can choose new, used, or demo. We'll then continue, and I am going to be adding in a 2022 Keystone Carbon today. Now, reminding you that there are bolded sections, and these bolded fields are required fields. So if you'll notice, there is a space for you to put the model or trim number. It's not bolded, so it's up to you if you wish to use that field for your vehicles. So I will continue on into the next area. You notice where it has, you can add in the body style code. You can also add in up to 2 serial numbers. This will be very helpful maybe with your Class A RVs. All right, and here is our MSRP. Okay. And then you've got, what day do you expect it on the lot? So today is June 1st. Welcome, June. Let's say that we're going to get it on the 15th. That's when we expect to receive it, and we are purchasing it today. So even though these 3 fields are not bolded, you may want to go ahead and be sure to fill in those spots. And there is an area here for a package code. We do work with some trailer dealerships that may want to use the package code. I remember a boat dealer that we worked with where they were selling the boat and the trailer, so they put that together and used a package code. So that might be helpful if that's the case with your dealership. And then there is a button here that you'll want to make sure to check mark if you want this vehicle to show on your website. All right, I'm going to go back over to the PO in the general section, and I'm going to complete that same information that I've just keyed over in the manual entry. Okay, again, I'm filling in the bolded fields. Those are required. And as much or as little of the additional detail as your dealership chooses to fill in. Okay, so we have talked about the general section that is located on both the manual and the PO entries, and the information that is the same. Below on the PO, you see a section for the description. You can fill in the exterior color, interior color, the type of fuel, the length, width, how many cylinders, square foot, how many it sleeps, if there's any slides, the gross weight. Again, these items are not bolded, so they're not required. You can put in as little or as much information as you would like. Okay, and then I'm going over to the manual entry, and I'm going to also fill in those same blanks. There is a spot for you to put in the odometer reading, so in case you are taking in a used or a demo unit. Okay, and you'll also see the condition field Here on the manual entry, so if you are taking in a used or demo unit, then you can indicate if it is certified or in excellent, good, or fair or poor condition. We're ordering a new vehicle today. Okay. So we've got our general and our description fields complete on both our manual entry and our PO. And those are some of the similar fields that are on these two forms. Now let me give you some specifics on some of the differences. So on the PO, and this is the main thing that is very beneficial about using the new inventory PO, is you can do multiple orders. So if you are ordering 2 or more of the same vehicles, then you can use the PO and then check mark the multiple order radio button. Then you have this field where you can add in 2 or more units. Now you will have the opportunity to come back and change the color and other description properties on these multiple orders. So you don't have to worry about that part. As long as it's the same vehicle, then you can go ahead and use the multiple order function with the new inventory PO form. All right, and you also have your invoice amount here. And you can select your vendor. I'm going with Keystone today. Now there are a couple of fields here just to point out. If you wanted to add in the manufacturer order number or the manufacturer rep name, you can do so here. And then there is a bolded section for the PO number, which you see has automatically been populated by EverLogic. Okay, we'll go ahead and indicate we are placing our order today. And then who is this being authorized by? And you can make your selection from the drop-down menu. Okay, this is one of the main differences with the PO versus the manual entry, where you're able to add in more than one of the same vehicle. Okay, another difference is in the lower right section. There is an option for us to go ahead and select our floor plan company. I will jump over to the manual entry onto the administration tab just to indicate here is where you're going to find your floor plan information on the manual entry. We'll come back and speak about that in just a moment. Before I can key the floor plan balance on my manual entry, I do have to save. And before I can save this entry, I do need to complete all bolded fields. There is another bolded field that we have not spoken about on the manual entry known as the vehicle itemized charges. Please notice this is one of the differences at the current view on the manual versus the purchase order. Okay. Now once I save the purchase order, which I'm going to go ahead and do so now, please notice that there are 3 units that are on this purchase order. That is because I have done a multiple order. So yes, okay, and that one goes away. I'm now going to go onto that sales operation tab and search for that unit under search inventory. All right, so you have different parameters here that you can use to search for your inventory at the top. I'm just going to do a search. And you see it brings back all the inventory that I have. All right, so let's just look at this for a moment and talk about how this view is very similar to an Excel spreadsheet. And you may know that you can click, hold, and drag a column to a different section if you'd like. And don't forget, there is some information to the far right. So if there's any information here that you'd like to move over, you can also do a click, hold, and drag and drop it where you would like to save it. Okay, I'm going to look for all of my keystones. So please notice you can click on the funnel and make a selection, and just like in Excel, you can filter these columns. So here are all of my keystones, and I've entered today a keystone carbon. And again, I could filter down even my model to carbons. And please notice I have 1, 2, and 3 that has been added to the end of my stock number. That is because this is the PO entry. You notice the PO on my stock number. And remember, we ordered 3 of these units. That's the benefit of using the vehicle PO, is you can order multiple units. So here I'm just going to open up and double click. And now let's compare. All right, so I've got my PO on the right. So here's the PO. And again, it's the system automatically added that number at the end because I ordered multiple units. And the one on the left is my manual entry. Now, put them side by side, and they are the same now. Before they were different, now they are the same. So we are going to continue from here, and there is a bold section at the bottom, vehicle itemized charges. So here we can add a new item. Now please notice on the PO, this item has already been displayed for us. This is the purchase price of the vehicle. This is the cost that the dealership has paid for this vehicle. So PP under the type field stands for purchase price. The description here, you can manually change this if you want. Whatever your dealership chooses to place in the description, you can manually place here. And then notice the cost of the vehicle. I'm just going to take that same information and fill in on my manual entry. Okay, and then I want to scroll to the right and talk about a very important field, which is our vendor. Now with the PO form, it's already chosen Keystone for me. On the manual entry, you'll need to make that selection. This is very important because if you do not select your vendor in the itemized charges section, it will not map correctly over to your QuickBooks. So always make sure that you've got your vendor selected in your itemized charges. The other 2 fields here at the end will be updated whenever we post these over into QuickBooks. All right, let's go back and let's add a new item. This time I want to add an AC item. The AC stands for additional cost or additional charges. So here I'm going to add in additional cost for my transportation, and I can add that specific here. Again, your description can be manually keyed, and I'm going to be adding this same item on the PO for transportation. Again, the AC is your add-on cost or additional charges. I'm going to just say I paid $1,000 for that. This is the dealer's cost. And then don't forget your vendor. The vendor is what's going to make sure that it's placed over into QuickBooks and tracked properly for you. Always make sure you fill in your vendor. All right, now as we're filling in these blanks, please notice the total cost in the lower right-hand corner has automatically been displayed for us. You cannot manually key in these fields, so you will just see these items transposing over into your cost summary on both forms. It's also added in a pack adjustment that I have automatically set up in my system. And if you would like for us to help you set up any of these defaults, please get with us. We'll be glad to help you. Now remember, on the manual entry, I was filling in some of these fields that may not have been on the PO entry whenever I placed it in the system. So I noticed the condition field has opened up, and again here you can choose the condition of the vehicle. Now again, these are not bolded areas, so it's up to your dealership on how much or how little information you want to include. All bolded areas and fields have been completed at this time. You see all of the bolded sections here on this forms, and we can now save on both sides. And I now have that same row at the top that we started with on the manual entry is now showing on the PO entry that I have. And I do want to mention the DOL, that days on lot. It will start counting as of the day that you order. That's the day that we've ordered in this vehicle. And that is because your salespeople can actually start selling this vehicle even though it's not physically on your lot at this time. All right, I think we have everything done on my manual entry, which is on the left side. And then on the right side, there was one other thing that we need to complete, and that is this radio button. If you wish for this vehicle to show on your website, be sure to go ahead and check mark that once your PO entry is available for you. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next tab, which we have in the administration. And some of these fields here that you may or may not choose to use. You may have a PO number along with your manufacturer order number and the rep's name that's at the top. If you were taking in a used or a trade-in vehicle, then you would be able to choose here the lien section. So if you do choose that this vehicle has a lien on it, then there's a section for you to add in the lien holder, the name on the account number, the lien payoff amount, the date that you paid this vehicle off, and any additional detail here such as the person that is in attention to and the name and address along with phone number. Okay, that same information is on both fields or forms. All right, down below you have an area to add in the tag and title. That's pretty self-explanatory. You've got your temporary plate, the date that it was issued, the title information. So that detail is here in the bottom section of both forms. And then in the upper right corner, we're going to find our floor plan information. Now the committed date can either show as the date that you've ordered or the date that you received this. That will be between you and your floor plan company to determine the committed date on your vehicles. And then let's talk about the balance field, okay? You cannot manually key in this field. You will need to use the balance button. So once you click on the balance button, I'm getting a message saying you have to save it. So yes, let's save. And then here is my balance. So I'm going to choose starting balance. There is an option for also your curtailment or interest if you choose to add that in initially. Okay, today's date, and then the balance that I owe. And you can make a note if you'd like. I'm going to now click on the Add Balance button, and you see the balance has been added in. I'll do the same thing on my PO. Remember, if you get those pop-ups, just read it. It was just reminding me I needed to save before I can add in the balance. Okay, and then click the Add Balance button, and you now see that balance here. Now, once this vehicle has been paid off by your dealership, then you can come back in and choose the Paid button and indicate when you made that payment. As you make payments on this vehicle, the balance will go down and the interest will go up, and then you'll be able to see your transactions in the History button. By clicking there, it'll outline all of the transactions for you. And then lastly, in the lower right-hand corner of both forms, we have our miscellaneous section. And if your dealership uses specific parking space numbers where you park your vehicles, you can indicate the parking space where this vehicle is going to be parked. If you do rentals, there is a spot for you to mark this as a rental unit, or if it's titled, you can do so here also. And you can add in tire and battery fees if you would like to do so at this time. I'm going to go ahead and click on Save, and then we're going to go ahead and proceed to the next tab, which is the Pricing tab. Again, these are the same for both forms. And let's talk about the items that are displaying here on the left side under the pricing matrix. Please notice the selling price has automatically transposed from the previous field that I placed that amount. That is the first field. The first field in the pricing matrix is always going to be your selling price. I want to jump down to my web price. My web price is in the fourth field. The fourth field will always be your web price. The other fields can be changed if you wish by doing a right click and making changes. So again, you can make changes. So for instance, I have a couple of fields that have not been named or titled at this time. I can right click on those fields and add in. And this is just an example. You can change the placement. I'll show you how that works. We'll leave it on the right. You could even change the color. I like purple, and it looks good with gold. And that's royal, so I will apply that. Okay. And again, this is just to show you an example of how you can add to the left side on your pricing matrix. Okay. If you ever need to remove, you right click and just clear out what you've done here. And then you can go back, apply that, click OK, and you see it's no longer there. So you may or may not need all of these fields. We've spoken about field 1. Field 1 is always your selling price. Field 4 is always your web price. Here at my dealership, I've also added in a clearance price, and I've also added in a red tag price. Now, if you choose not to use the pricing matrix on the left side, there is a valuation where you can just add in the list, retail, and wholesale pricing if you prefer to do so with your dealership. Then we have our cost summary review section, which includes our purchase price, the add-ons, which comes from my transportation, $1,000. Remember, that was an AC add-on cost. That has automatically been displayed here in my pricing field, giving me the total cost now of $99,630. I also have my pack that I've added in. We have now finished the pricing tab. I'll go ahead and save any details on both forms, and then move into the Pictures and Layout tab, where you're able to click on the Add button. And I've added in a couple of pictures, and these may or may not be related exactly to this particular unit, so we're just going to go ahead and choose a couple of these pictures to add in, and then click Open. I'll do the same over on the PO. You can modify these whenever you need to. And I want to point out the red X. So here, and as with most items in EverLogic, if you hover over, it'll tell you what action you can take. So if you ever want to remove an image, you can click on that red X to delete that image. Whenever you delete something in EverLogic, you will get a warning field. And in this warning field, you'll want to go ahead and place a reason. It automatically has my name, today's date and time, and then I'm going to click delete, and now that picture no longer shows in my images. All right, there's also a check mark radio button here, and as you hover over it, you'll notice these are those that you want to show on the website. So you may or may not want all of them to show on your website, and if you wish not to show, just remove that check mark by clicking on the radio box. Okay, that is your Pictures and Layout tab. Let's go ahead and save both of these entries and then move on to description and notes. All right, so of course you can copy and paste a description, or you can, manually key that in. I have a description here that I'm just going to copy and paste for this example on both sides, and then point out at the bottom, the note is a private note, so this will not display on a receipt for any customer to view. And then you can go ahead and save. All right. And at this time, I am going to close these forms. And I want to point out on the system setup, there is a section for inventory. This is where you can go in and add your features and options that I was just working with. And here you can click on New, and you can add in your features and options. There are some bolded sections for you to be sure to complete whenever you're keying in these items. There's also your feature categories. You may remember I chose exterior on that option that I just chose for the vehicle on order, you can click New, and then you can add in a new category here. If you need help with the system setup, please be sure to reach out to us so that we can help you. Most of these items was probably completed during your initial implementation with EverLogic. All right, let's go ahead and continue on to sales operations. I'm going to go back into search my inventory. I'm going to pull up these items that we're working with today. I'm going to stick with my manual entry for this example. And we're going to want to make sure that our status shows in stock for our next transaction in order to place this vehicle or post this vehicle over into QuickBooks. It does have to show the status in stock. So I've chosen that here. We can now go on to the Office Operations tab and list unposted stock. And when this screen displays, we'll show on the left side our locations, noticing that each location has a plus symbol next to it. When you click on that plus symbol, it opens up your choices. Here is the Keystone Carbon that I entered today. So I'm going to double click on it, and it now shows some details on the right side for this particular unit. You'll want to make sure all of the blanks have completed and filled in for you and are accurate at this time before you post it over to QuickBooks. Okay, we will be using the option as bill only. This is for our vehicle inventory, so we choose bill only for QuickBooks. And I do want to point out there is a mark as posted option, and you will choose mark as posted option whenever you manually key something in to QuickBooks. Again, if you ever do a manual entry in QuickBooks, then just mark as posted here. All right, everything is listed here. There's my unit. And now I'm going to click on Save. And that has now been created in QuickBooks as a bill for us to pay. All right, back onto the Office Operations tab. There is your list unposted bills and credits. This will be a similar view once this screen comes up. So you see your locations on the left side. If it's a plus symbol, you can click on it. You see how this one opened with everything showing. And whatever you want to choose, I'm going to go ahead and just choose this one for now. Double click on it. And you see how that detail has shown over on the right side. You'll want to make sure that all of the bolded fields are completed. So I have one here that I need to choose. Again, just double checking, making sure all of my detail shows here on the right side. Reminding you here, if you do mark this as posted, that indicates that you did a manual entry in QuickBooks. Otherwise, I'm going to make sure that I have bill only selected, and then I click on Save. Now that bill has been created in QuickBooks. All right, so before we can complete the next transaction, we'll need to go back onto the stock inventory. So I'm going to search by serial number. These are all of the units that I've placed in today. We're going to open up this specific one, and please notice that it now shows posted in red bold letters. This indicates we have posted it into QuickBooks. Now we can go back onto the Office Operations tab, click List Unposted Curtailment and Interest. We'll select our floor plan company. And then click Search. Okay, find the vehicle that you need to make the payment on. This is the one here I'm working with, so I'm going to double click it. And then down at the bottom, we're going to fill in the blanks, the payment date, the payment method, select the account that you're making the payment from, and then in the fields here, you have your curtailment payment and you have your interest payment. Based upon the ones that you're making, you can actually key in the amount here of the payment that you're making today. And down at the bottom, if you wish to choose, you can do a curtailment check printout and a print interest check also. So you can use your check number or credit card number here and then make payments at the top. Okay. This says it has unposted payments that have not been sent to QuickBooks. By continuing, you will create another payment record. Are you sure you want to continue with this? Yes. Okay, and it now tells me that the bill payment check was created in QuickBooks. So you are now done with that transaction. Of course, you would do the same for your other vehicles here if you needed to. All right, so that's everything that we had to share with you today in vehicle inventory. We went through the general tab where we found the mandatory items listed in bold were the stock number, the new used demo section, year, make, model, and the vehicle itemized charges. We also covered the admin tab where we found the PO, lien, and tag and title detail. We went through the floor plan specifics. We covered the pricing tab. We also added pictures to our pictures and layout tab. There were features and options that we were able to add. We went in and placed a description, and there's a private note that you can add there to your vehicle. We then listed unposted stock, listed unposted curtailment and interest payments, and also listed unposted bills and credits. On behalf of myself and everyone here at EverLogic, I'd like to say thank you so much for taking the time away from your busy schedule to view this video, and ask that you stay tuned to learn about sales and F&I.